All right, where we started and where we are going. Click the links to join the channel, become a valued member, or support channel, the various other links, coffee and whatnot, or go to the Odysee, Bit Chute. There are different channels, different videos there go around the YouTube censorship, or to join the Telegram and Discord. So more Ginga-c, where we started and where we're going. You know, other than the wrinkles in the costume, I don't really have that much of an issue with it. I will say that the wrinkles in the legs, I don't quite understand. I've seen people wear tight leather leggings before. They can be made tight. You'd have to. It's like, I mean, you're not going to be doing stunts in tight leather pants, but it's like you're not going to be doing stunts anyway. That's what someone else is for. But the costume itself looks fine. But here's where we start going down this little bit of a rabbit hole where people are bending over backwards. Some people are bending over backwards to excuse this, I don't know, Irish, Scottish, northern Western European erasure. Even if they have to like double back on their own arguments, they have to propose wholly illogical positions to defend their conclusion, because they're arguing in bad faith. Their arguments are bad. They're badly thought out, and the conclusion is bad because ultimately, like, they want what they want, but they can't rationally and logically back it up. And it's pretty clear as you go through their comments. It's weird. They wouldn't do this to any other group of people. It's almost as if they hate them. Anyway, so Ginga-c, reading the IGN comments, they can't understand why they, in quotes, do this. Thing is, I don't even consider the Irish erasure anymore, because I look at the show as I look at almost everything coming out of big Hollywood. It's not meant to be watched, and you're not going to get stuff that is meant to be watched by you probably ever again, not from big Hollywood. That Hollywood is kind of dead forever. I mean, if you're over, I don't know, 25, assuming you're not on board with this, and if you're listening to this, you're probably not on board with this kind of stuff. The rare exception would be Spider-Man, but even with that recent Spider-Man, it's like they still race swap the characters. Let's get this long list of somebody bending over backwards. The issue was swapping characters, and he's putting a bunch of red-haired characters that are in shows. It's like, that's a nice straw man there, but that's not what we were talking about. But the goal isn't necessarily to please this generation, even if they have to take a financial loss. The goal is to propagandize the next generation. Anyway, like the old Hollywood, the old Hollywood. What do you mean old Hollywood? Like popcorn and enjoying a movie? Yeah, that's gone forever. That ended a few years ago. So you're gonna have to watch the old stuff. The new Hollywood is not for you. It's not for anyone probably over 25 or 30, or anyone who's just not a cultural Marxist. The thing is, it's not really meant to be watched by anyone. I mean, it's meant to go on a digital shelf and kind of fill out the roster. It's like a video store back in the days of VHS. You would go, what great memories of the local Blockbuster and the other little micro video stores. You went in there and they had like a wall of tapes, and some of them would sell red vines and like movie candy at the front desk and stuff, and other little weird things. It was a whole. You know, that, like, people sit at home and they just order everything digital now, and they're just watching movies digitally. It's like, back in the day, going to the local store was like, okay, you see people from the neighborhood, you're like, oh, hey, how are you? What's going on? How are things? You catch up on small chat. You learn how to talk to people. People now, like, they're sitting at home and they're just ordering these, they're watching Amazon or HBO at home, and they're, like, even talking to people. Everything is digital now. I think you lose something in a society when people are not going out. You know what it is? When you go to the local Blockbuster Friday night, you're rubbing off those rough edges. Like, that's all part of society's rolling and tumbling around with each other, is rubbing off those rough edges. And when you get people who are at home the whole time, every once in a while you see them out, you're jogging or walking the dog, and like I don't know, people have gotten a little bit weird because I don't think they're as used to being out among other people, talking to people, like they've lost some sense of how to behave around other people. Okay, so back in the days of those, you walk in the store and there's walls of VHS tapes, and like, you could spend an hour looking for movies and talking to people about movies. So that's a whole nother thing. It's like just little small conversations people had at the local Blockbuster, you find some nerd there who's an expert on horror, and like you could pick his brain for 15 minutes or something, and talk to other people's ideas of recommendations. It was a whole vibe. The whole vibe of America is kind of lost forever, which is probably why people are kind of ruder with each other. They're shorter with each other because they're not as comfortable dealing with each other. Anyway, so you saw all these tapes. Some were great, some were bad, but most weren't specifically for you. Now, the thing is, you're not renting one film now at a time. If you were, bad shows would be less likely to get made because, they wouldn't be able to recoup their investment. But streaming platforms are different because you're paying for the platform itself. So they want to kind of brag about the number of shows they have, how many tapes they have on the wall. It's like, hey, look at our wide selection. It's like you don't look too close and you only realize like, oh, okay, only some of them are things that you'd want to watch, which is what streaming platforms are all about. They're just throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. It's kind of like reverse movie Darwinism. You don't get merit, you just get quantity. And now that I think about it, if I was a conspiracy theorist, I think about it this way. If HBO just rented the movies out, like the platform to browse was free, you get a free subscription and you got access to looking at all the little title blurbs and all this kind of stuff and reviews, but you paid to rent the actual films, then you would obviously get better films because they would want their film to be the one that you paid, you rented. A lot of things, like in the digital space, you get people arguing over the most petty, picayune BS that they wouldn't argue about in person, because in person you're reading facial expressions, muscle twitches, like tonal inflections in the voice and body posture to read the other person. It makes for a much better society. Digital anonymity makes for very rude people, which is kind of what you see with Antifa. It's like as soon as you cover your face, you feel like you're unstoppable. You just turn into these little sociopaths, these rats in a cage, sociopath experiment. Because right now the streaming platforms are essentially subsidizing bad films, which might be the point, because it conceals the individual film's performance. You just judge the platform as a whole because you're subscribing to the platform. Movies now are almost totally pure globalist propaganda. Money is not the primary motive. If it was, they wouldn't make stuff like Batwoman, which has gone through two actors, Ruby Rose, which, itself sounds like a movie name. Or wait, is that the character's name or the actor's name? And then she substituted her for some other actor. Very, very low watch. You can go watch it for yourself. Like try to tonight, just go watch the latest Batwoman. You won't believe. I can't explain it. You won't believe it. You have to watch it. Like, whoa. So this is how you spend $95,000 to make an episode that is going to recoup $95,000. Yeah, pretty much. And the thing is, they make a lot of woke cancer. So a lot of the stuff you see, it's like feed for the cattle. We just must consume more content. Please give me more content. Consume. It's just to stock the shelves to make them look like they have inventory, which they do, but a lot of it sucks. So they swap the European girl out of some role. Yeah, and there's a Reddit post as this guy's talking about where they show like 100 characters that have been red-haired characters, probably red or blonde-haired characters that have been swapped out because movies and comics don't like to use dark-haired Europeans because it kind of confuses them. They can't make them the bad guy because they want you to know that the bad guy is uber white. That's why they always make them blonde, blue-eyed, or red-haired, green-eyed, because they want you to know who to hate. So yeah, they're gonna swap those people out, the ultra rare people, because, and follow me here, there's tons of objective evidence to show they do this. They hate you, the people of the light. I'm assuming my audience. Red hair is the rarest ethnic subcategory on Earth. They swapped it out with something that is 1,000 times more common. But representation, you just got rid of the minority for a majority. Yeah, and so as you'll see in these arguments, they bend themselves over backwards trying to justify it. It's like, logically you can't justify it. You should probably concede some arguments and move on. It gives you firmer foundation when you concede obviously losing arguments, when you can look in somebody's eyes and like, okay, we both know this is a losing argument. I'm going to concede this and let's move on to a better point. The thing is, it's part of the humiliation ritual. They hate you and they want you to know it. Shows are not for you. The goal is brainwashing the kids to remove blonde and red-haired European people from everything, to make it as if they never existed. They do it generation by generation, turning wolves into, Shih Tzus, which, don't get me wrong, Shih Tzus are great dogs. So are Chihuahuas and Chihuahua breeds. They're great dogs. Like, they can't stop someone breaking in. Yeah, but they wake you up with their loud barks, and then, Smith & Wesson stops the person breaking in. It becomes the new normal, so each new group of kids just accept it, like replacing carbon with silicon to turn wood to stone. Eventually the originally is going to be totally replaced, but it happens so slowly that you never notice it. This slow metamorphosis of wolf to schnauzer. They're going through this argument. They're arguing. It's like, you're swapping out a minority for a majority. You have the losing argument. Why wouldn't you just... Because they want what they want. They're not arguing from logic. They're arguing from emotion. Anyway, I mean, you're not going to see the show. It's like, it doesn't matter. People are talking about the costume. People are talking about all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, this is the character. Cool. Fine. Female characters have never been real big sellers. And then, like, okay, you got this. Is she prettier than a lot of other characters? Yeah, she's really good looking. But I don't know what she is, African mixed with probably Spanish. And the original character was probably Irish, Scottish, English, Northern, Western European, whatever. A rare minority. Like, you have the losing argument here. Yeah, they don't care that they have the losing argument because they're in power. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.